Two of my favorite black and white film stocks in the 100 speed arena are Foma 100 and Ilford's FP4 Plus. I shot a roll of each recently. I developed them together, shot them at box speed, pushed them some in Xtol 1+1, and I'm going to show some examples and just talk a little bit about how they're similar and different. And hopefully encourage you to try both. So my first, about 8 to 10 shots are Foma 100. And something that stands out to me here, and it's subtle, is just the higher tones have a silvery, almost like a stainless steel appliance sheen. The higher tones also have a very fine grain. Right, this is obviously a 100 speed and not like a 400 speed. Yeah. Right, lots of detail here. Right, again, look at that. Right, those higher tones have like a I don't know how to say it other than like a shine. Almost looks reflective, right? All right, gobs of detail. The responsiveness to red is very similar to FP4 as well, right? See, my son's lips are dark. Doesn't have that like extra sensitivity to red that Foma 200 and 400 have. Now I really like this one, right? The way that the logs have that silvery shine, right? It's holding the highlights. Right, basically like, almost like digital level amounts of sharpness and detail. I love this one, right? Those skin tones. It's like very delicate handling, shiny. Yeah, and here's a good one to zoom in here. So that's 100% with zero sharpening applied. Right, again, like 100%. Now, Foma 100 is different for 35mm than their other formats, especially in terms of the base, and I think even like the defects. I don't have any defects in Foma 100, but I hear of more complaints with larger formats. Now this was a tricky shot because now it looks like it's a high contrast. I've edited some of that in, but you figure this, like the sky, right, is probably up in the EV 14 to 18 range. And then these deep shadows, it's probably in the like 6 to 9 range. And if I open them up a little bit, oh, that's the opposite of opening. Right, you can see I could bring the shadows or the highlights down. And then, right, I could open up the shadows some. But this is a very, right, high dynamic, huge tonal range shot. Yeah, and I mean, the highlights really, like, they seem reflective, right? All right, we're getting to the end of the Foma 100. Okay, so let me jump to the FP4. All right. Here's the first one. Now, I love this look too, but the high tones have a little more grain and not quite as much of that shine. It's a little more like HP5, but just a much finer grain. You know, also just a lot of detail, a lot of sharpness. Right, and I like that I can see the grain. Right, I'm a fan of film grain. It's one of the reasons I shoot it. Now, you know, some of this, like, how much could I edit a little bit more to make it look shiny? But yeah, you could, I mean, it's really lovely. You know, I love it. But to me, it does seem different than Foma in that, right, sort of the nature of the higher tones compared to the darker tones. Just trying to see if I can. I mean, I've tried, right? I have tried. I mean, it's close. I might be making all this up, right? I'm hoping you can see the difference. You know, and like this shot, I love this shot. And I love the film quality. Absolutely. But I also feel like I can tell that this is FP4. All right, so I love both films. They're really similar. Right? It's taken me a long time to sort of even come to this conclusion, which is pretty weak, right? It's more of just like both are great. And I've shot enough of both of them and had zero issues, so I'm happy to recommend them to everybody. I did want to say a little bit about just like where do you get film and how much does it cost these days? So Foma 100, here's 100 feet of it for $84, which is, I don't know, I think that's gone up probably $20 in the last 4 years. But that's still under $5 a roll if you're bulk loading. If you want to pay $7.50, One Lot Film can bulk load it for you in a metal cassette with a DX code. This is the cheapest. You can't find rolled Foma 100 anywhere cheaper than this. And then for HP5, right, it's getting harder and harder to find the 100-foot rolls, and the price has gone way up. So 150, it's like, you know, what, $8 a roll. Now, if you really like buying 100-foot rolls, you can reach out to me. I have a cheaper place to buy it than this, but it's sort of my little secret. Royal We, you can get. Why am I talking about HP5? I got distracted. FP4 for $9 from Royal We is the cheapest. And then just about film prices generally, because I was looking this up, because it's just always a little scary to look at film prices. And here is the history of the price of HP5. Right, so in 2016, you could get a 3-pack for $12. In 2022, it went up to $45, and it's currently sitting around $32. If we just look at the last year, right, Trump became tariff king, and prices jumped up to 32, and they've been kind of wavering around $32 for a 3-pack of HP5. Portra 400 has been holding fairly steady. What? No, actually it's not. Look at that. It jumped in February, and then it jumped again in April. But if you look at the all-time price, right, it was absolutely crazy coming out of COVID. Right, it got up to $180 on in 2022. And then we can imagine that we lived back in 2019 when it was under $50 for a 3-pack. Or sorry, not a 3-pack, a 5-pack. And then Tri-X, right? Tri-X in the last year has been holding really steady. But then all time, right? We see the COVID boom, and then now it's sitting around, about $10 a roll. Okay. I hope I've done a couple things. One is maybe helped you see the subtle differences between Foma 100 and FP4, but then also, piqued your interest in trying both of these film stocks. So, take care.